Right. Good afternoon. Good uh, evening. Good morning. Uh, Greetings wherever you are and wherever you may join us on our YouTube channel. This is the Consciencism Study Group, and we meet as usual on Saturdays where we have our unification meetings every Saturday. Our meetings are on unification, all aspects of unification. And yeah, we've done a few topics. We've gone through a few topics this month. We've done continental industrial planning. We've looked at labor skills and productive capacity. Last week, we looked at cultural decolonization as resistance, and there were competing views on the use of the word decolonization. And then today, the topic is managing diversity within unity. So welcome, everyone. We shall hear the geopolitical analysis from Sister Portia. This is where she shares happenings on the global stage and the, if you like, the objective implications of those matters for the unification of Africa. This is her view of the happenings. So she's sharing how she sees the world and its implications in terms of what has happened and its implications for Africa's unification. If you think you have a different view or can come with a different perspective, please let us know, and we are always welcome to share your perspective on global events. So I'll hand over now to Sister Portia to share the geopolitical analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Brother Kwame. Greetings all. I'm going to turn on my camera to say hi, so you know that I'm a real person. And then I'm going to turn off my camera to finish the geopolitical analysis. I'll try to do this regularly when I present. It's also for a historical record as well, because you know about AI and stuff and all that. Yet it is around 15 after on the 27th of June, 2026, Saturday, and the mode of vehicle that I am giving this political analysis, geopolitical analysis, is through the Consciencism Study Group via a Zoom app. Now I'll turn off my camera. Okay, there are a couple of events that are happening, and in a way, they are tied to how continually Africa, as per my stance, continues to be disregarded globally, or anything Africa appearing, including its diaspora. And if you need me to clarify what Africa appearing implies, I can do that. So the Democratic Republic of Congo has has basically taken Rwanda to court. And I'm sure that in itself, I even ponder, should we have a session on that where we can get some analysis from persons on the ground about this long-standing conflict. And then if we look at what has happened in the Democratic Republic of Congo as well as Rwanda, the alleged genocides that have taken place prior to the ones that we know of. So they have put an application into the International Court of Justice, and they are accusing Rwanda of breaching multiple international treaties. Now, you might remember a while back, the United States of America had Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, they had this agreement. And as of a clipping I saw, which is June 24th, 2026, which is interesting that now this is coming up about the Democratic Republic of Congo filing this application at ICJ. The United States of Department of State, and my other source for the previous one was the BBC. But on the United States of America Department of State website, they have a joint statement on the 6th Joint Oversight Committee for the Peace Agreement between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Rwanda. And they are saying that on June 24th, 2026, representatives from the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Rwanda, along with the United States of America, the state of Qatar, and I'm reading here, the Republic of Togo, as the African Union mediator, and the African Union Commission met in London for its 6th meeting of the Joint Oversight Committee. So that has happened. Of recent. That was this week. And then also, as I have just read to you, they are now saying that this is just a day ago that the DR, Democratic Republic of Congo, is going to take Rwanda to the International Court for over decades of conflict. So it just seems it almost seems like an oxymoron when you look at it. And then another one about the disregard is, I don't know if you heard of it, that the United States of America, and the source here is PBS, is going to drastically slash the number of embassies in Africa that can process visas. I became aware of how, in my opinion, restrictive the process was when I first went to Africa and went to my second country in Africa, which was Ghana. And I remember there was a Ghanaian, and we were fiercely debating. This is when I did not at the time know how to mitigate my emotions. As you all know, I'm quite passionate. So his purview at the time, he was saying, you know, Ghana is just horrible. And he had been over to a country in Europe, and what happened is something to do with his papers at that time. He ended up having to leave the country. And he was mortified from what I remember. And he kept saying, and noted this is my opinion of what was said, he kept saying how great Europe is and how horrible Africa is, and specifically talking about how Ghana was not, you know, just up to par. And I remember coming in going with my naivete and arrogance. I remember saying, you know, Europe is nothing and Africa is amazing. Of course, Africa is amazing, but it was not actively listening to what the brother had experienced. And he had even learned the language in the country that he was. So he was really heartbroken to be back in Africa, in Ghana of his country. And it was that's when I didn't know at the time that there are people who, based on a region that's a map that's mapped out, those people cannot go to other regions of the world just because of a mapping that is not even indigenous to our African heritage and ways of being. So this came, and this is a later news, it was in June 1st, but basically the United States of America Department of State plans to slash those number of U.S. embassies and consulates in Africa that can process visas, and I'm reading here, for persons coming to the United States. Now that ties into another report also about what has happened of recent with Haiti and Syria in particular. So what happened this week is there was a ruling, and it was a divided United States of America Supreme Court. And in those immigration rulings, which happened this past Thursday, so that would be 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, right after the press release that came out about the United States of America Department of State regarding Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, they have said they're going to end, and I'm reading again, and my source here is the National Constitutional Center, and I'm reading that they are saying that they're going to end temporary protected status for Syrian and Haiti immigrants. Now, I'm still continuing to read. It also ruled that refugees from Mexico need to be within the United States physical border to make an asylum claim instead of an adjacent border location in Mexico. Why this is of relevance to Africa, in my opinion, is Haiti. When you look at Africa's diaspora, it is regarded as the North Star. And I've said this before, but it is regarded, and it's regarded as that country outside of our motherland that successfully opposed the oppressors and did it in a very a way of saying, no, you cannot oppress us, and we cannot allow such oppression. And we know that Haiti has been in economically oppressed ways for centuries with that one instance. So that is happening. And then the other thing that's tied to this disregard, yet we see a pushback from one of the members of the Alliance of the Sahel States, is France, the French government, and this is on the 27th. France said on Saturday it was considering taking reciprocal measures after Burkina Faso broke off diplomatic relations. And it has saying that Burkina Faso said on Friday it had severed links with France after years of worsening ties over security, sovereignty, and alleged foreign independence. Now, you'll remember that in that region of the world, there is ongoing talks of instability, and the buzzwords that they're always using is terrorists or subversive networks in that area. And at the same time, Burkina Faso is taking the stance to say, you know what, this is not going to work. So you have a disregard that's happening. And you see that again with the whole situation between Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. And then you see that now with this ruling against Haiti, Mexico, and Syria. And then on top of that, you also see that you have a nation state that is saying they're going to stand up against that. And before that, as I mentioned, they also have the U.S. who's slashing those embassies. I contend that the disregard still is that because certain countries say they have military might, so they have those weapons that could go in and take out, areas of people if they so choose, allegedly, as they have done before. They can create coups allegedly as they've done before, and all manners of confusion to have even some of our own people side with the oppressors, saying that this country needs to be more democratic. This country needs to have more rule of law. When the very rule of law and the very more democracy that is being asked, it actually is is the opposite of that, because the oppressor is now in that country allegedly trying to cause further discords. And I was on a call, and I'll come back to Burkina Faso before I wrap up. I was on a call this week, and they were having a case where in the Gambia, one of the human rights organization wants to have it where if a Gambian person who is alleged to have crimes against humanity, for example, is in jurisdiction that the United States of America can prosecute, they want to work closely with the United States of America State Department to do so. And when I was on the call listening, I said a couple of things. I said, one, you've been through a lot, and I want to acknowledge that, because if a person is saying their truth, I'm not saying that I have to ignore that. And then I added, how many countries in the world can come in if the United States government official goes to that country and that government official is accused of crimes against humanity? How many of those countries can hold and detain that senior government official or freeze their assets, and after they do so, hold them in their courts? And process through them to the courts. And then the person said, well, this is not the purpose of that call, but we have tried to do that. Emphasis on tried. So this now takes me to the Burkina Faso point. The examples I've shown you about the visa, closing the embassy, this whole thing with DRC using the International Court of Justice to have a case against Rwanda, those to me show once again how there is a disregard for us and our court systems, because we have court systems or our ways of doing things, but always what? Going to the oppressor systems. And then the other one is how the Burkina Faso, even if they have taken out IMF loans, which you've heard me say in previous sessions, one and more of the stuff that they do is they push back on this notion that an alleged oppressor state like France can come into their sovereign lands and tell them what to do. I'll close there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister, for sharing the geopolitical analysis. I'll open the floor for a few any questions, comments, clarifications, after which we'll go to the topic for today, which is managing diversity within unity. Any comments, questions? Please share. Thank you. No comments, no questions? Okay, Sister Portia, looks like there are no questions. Everyone is clear on your presentation. Let's move on then to the topic for today. So the topic for today is managing unity, managing diversity within unity. So that's the topic for today. And we did announce it last week, I believe, and also announced it on Thursday. Who would like to start the discussion for us? Who would like to start? Please raise your hand and start the discussion for us. Thank you. I believe I did welcome everyone. Is that correct? I think I did. Yeah, I'm sure I did. If not, then I'm welcome you all again. General, Sister Tapuwa, Sister Njidika, Brother Green Anki Works, which I believe might be Brother Menzi, I'm not sure. Then Sister Portia, Brother Pigeon, Brother Welcome, and then myself. Yeah, so Is that Brother Pigeon's hands? Yes, Brother Pigeon, please start for us.
Dr. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Just
we can hear
confirm.
you, brother.
Okay, thank you. Greetings, everyone. Apologies for my disappearance a bit. It's due to some few issues we're trying to work out on. Now, when I look at this topic, managing diversity, there are a few things that I have to point out to. I didn't prepare that PowerPoint thing because I've been interfered with their thing from Friday to date. But I want to talk on a few things. One, but tell me 10 minutes maximum, or 5, if that's okay. So
Yeah,
one is the existence of diversity and what is diversity. And two, the need for managing that, which means diversity in this context is, of course, differences. These differences, if you look at the context of Africa, there are differences in terms of not only language, but also culture. As we know that, I think is in the book of Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Decolonizing the Mind, the language is a carrier of culture. So the existence of over almost 3,000 languages in Africa symbolize almost over 3,000 cultures. And therefore, we as a continent, and I think some other people have claimed before, we had Sister Brother Taiwo here, who did analysis on why the unification of Africa might appear to be a bit far-fetched on the context of the diversity of African people and languages in the continent. That most of the countries that have been united actually have less languages, which then means either less tribes, if that's the case, but to us we call it less nationality. And then it's very easy for that to work out for their unity. But then this is a continent of Africa, which then has all those 3,000 languages, probably all those 3,000 cultures, probably all those 3,000 nationalities. That first. The second is, of course, there are various cultures that conflict, just to be very specific. There are other communities that what they call their cultural practices might not conform with the other community as well. For example, there's a community in Kenya here, the Kusheti community, the Somali community or nationality, where even leadership, if you want maybe to go for leadership within the country, even political leadership, you must go seek the approval of the elders. So the council, you must go to the council first of the elders, and the elders approve you before even you go to the mainstream politics. In other contexts, you are just free to walk out and go for your political position. There are still some cultures that do not even allow women to be at that level of even going for such big political position or even going for politics. But there are cultures that do not have issues with that. There are cultures that there are practices in terms of even initiation rites sometimes. Like that has been the biggest problem sometimes in Kenya here, just to quote, that the Nilotes, where I come from, and not majority of Nilotes, we practice different types of what you call circumcisions. So there are many communities in the continent that practice circumcision by either removal of either whatever they do for male. But for my community, they don't do that. They remove the teeth or the tooth. So they remove almost 4 or 5 upper teeth. That one is not practiced today. The community feel that in the country that we have not undergone what is called the right circumcision to be qualified to be man enough to lead a country. And they can quote it several times despite of some of us even undergoing what their practice of circumcision is based on other research as well. So they see us like we are not qualified to run for their country. Those are internal politics in diversity element that people feel cannot work out because of cultural differences, you see. While there are community as well who actually feel that one community is too much of loving money. They either love corruption, they either love all those other things. So we don't want them to be back to leadership because they will steal and loot from us. So there's a difference of diversity in terms of culture within the context, first of all, of the African, even so-called neo-colonial states. And that's why even if you look at the level of leadership in a country, especially the political leadership, there's not even any time the whole country agree on one principle that you're going to elect this. And when it gets to politics, everybody go back to their tribal lines, the so-called nationality lines. And then it comes up, oh, you're not qualified, or you're not this and this, or all these things come up, oh, you're thieves, or you're not this and this. It's been a challenge at cultural level. There's a bigger challenge as well when you look at the language level. Now, many people speak various languages within the continent. And therefore, the challenge we are facing at the unification of Africa is that how do we then arrive at one language? And you must realize that people who speak one language actually have some strong bonds together. Whether if you are, for example, if you are a Asante or you are Ewe or you are Luo and you meet another Luo, the bond is so strong than if you meet another language. If you meet, for example, a Kikuyu, even if you're outside the country, maybe you're in diaspora, and you meet a Kikuyu from Kenya, and you meet a Luo from the same Kenya, if you're a Luo, you'll find to be bonding too much with this Luo than bonding with that Kikuyu who is from also Kenya. These are practical realities that are coming in terms of our diversity. But you see, the topic is we are not washing away them. We are not trying to say that we assume they don't exist. And we don't want even to arrest them. What we are saying is how do we manage it? And that's why the topic is managing diversity. And I think there are a few things we must now agree on. I think Brother Kwame sometimes reminded me in terms of argument that is the difference in terms of policy or principle. And I can call our diversity more of policy differences, if you are to take in a policy level. That diversity in terms of culture and language can appear to be policy thing, but they are not principle thing. So the principal element here is unity. And all of us then desire that unity. Then are we able to forego or compromise on our policies which appear to be our culture, to appear to be our languages, to appear to be our gender, to appear to be all these things? Because it's not only about even language and culture, it's also gender-based. There are people still think that we cannot work together with a woman or a man, or somebody cannot be in top of what or leadership in this position. There are people still think other people are too young and not ready to lead the continent. There are people who still think others are not that educated enough. So there's a lot of diversity we have as a people. I think what I'll be interested even members to help here is maybe in the chat as even this conversation will be going on, how do you think we can manage that diversity? Because that is the key issue here. The principle is unity. The differences here is in diversity, which appear to be policy. But how do each of us think? Maybe 1 or 2 points will be very helpful even in the chat. What do you think one thing can be done to actually manage the diversity of Africa so that we arrive at a united Africa as a unified people? So that's what I want to say. And finally, I will say that it is possible. It is possible because if we look ourselves beyond our nationality and look ourselves as one identity, what unites us? We're Black people. Yeah, our skin, you can be brown, you can be light, but you're Black people. Or even we can move to the upper level of ethno-linguistic categorization. You can say we are Bantus. And that can even help in the story of South Africa, for example, where look at the level of Bantus. There are Bantus in Zimbabwe, Bantus in Botswana, Bantus in South Africa, Bantus in Lesotho, Bantus in Eswatini. But because we are looking at the smaller level of I am a Zulu, I am either Nguni or whatever, and there's a Bantu in the other side who is either Sotho or Swana, does not fit in the context, and therefore I have to fight them or have to see we are different. And even when you get to the Nguni level or Zulu level, you say, no, I'm a Zulu from this kingdom, or I'm a Zulu from this side, or we are the Zulu of this. Because like, for example, there's a community in Kenya called the Luya community. The Luya community has small ethnic languages, almost 20 of them within the same called Luya community. And therefore, when they come to politics, somebody will say, no, where is that ethnic, sub-ethnic group that person is coming from? Is he a Bukusu? Is he a, I don't know, Bunyala? Is he a whatever? Is he a Marigoli? And then associate also behaviors of such communities. Say, no, that tribe does this, that tribe does this. No, this is not right and this is not right. So I think one thing can help us is let's look at ourselves as Black people or as Africans. That can bring us the bond closer. The skin can either connect us closer. Like people in diaspora today, and if you meet a Black person in the street, you are very happy. You don't care whether they come from Liberia, whether they come from Barbados, and even you easily don't ask that. But unite because of your skin color, and you form solidarity around it during the George Floyd thing. And that one then unites you beyond your ethno-linguistic or your nationality. So I think Africans maybe might be able, in order to manage this, is to look beyond our so-called ethnic groupings or nationality and say we are all Black people. Or even look above that and say we are Bantu. So let's unite on the basis of Bantu. That's my Bantu brother. He should not be killed. He should not be arrested. He should not be chased away. We are Bantus, we are brothers. I think those are two ways I'm thinking can help us to manage actually diversity. But as I've said, these are complex things that will be interested in people also to share what they think about it, brother. Coming back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Pigeon. You have raised some very interesting and fundamental questions there. How do Africans identify such that they can unify? And do we identify on a civilizational level, where we use the term Black? Do we unite on a linguistic level, where there is only one language for all of us? Do we unite on the basis of land, so that entire Africa and the diaspora are part of Africa? So these are important questions, and I hope Brother Welcome will say something, because he's the one that is leading us on the United Nations of Africa, where there is the idea that the unification of Africa must be on the basis of the indigenous and organic nations of the continent, who have been here for thousands and thousands of years. Brother Pigeon, the Bantu are also in West Africa. I am a Bantu as well. So Bantus are all over the continent and in the diaspora, because I live in England at the moment. So you raise some very interesting questions. So the floor is still open. If you want to build on what Brother Pigeon has said, or you want to offer a fresh perspective, please feel free to come in and share your thinking. When we look into history, we can see that there have been empires in the past that have had different multi-ethnic, multilingual, multi-religious. The Ottoman Empire, for instance, which lasted from the end of the 14th, for the beginning of the 14th century to 1922. The Ottoman Empire was multi-ethnic, multilingual, multi-religious, and it lasted for that long. The Roman Empire had two languages, as I understand it. It had two official languages. Latin was the language of law and the military, while Greek was dominant in the cultural influential East. So even the Roman Empire had two languages. The AU has, I think, four. Is it four? It has English, it has French, I think it has Spanish, it has Portuguese, and it has Swahili, if I'm right. Yeah. So the AU's position is that its documents or its outreach are in these languages, not just English, etc., etc. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you again, the topic is managing diversity within unity. that's a topic. So Brother Pigeon, thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. Anyone else wants to come in and share
I want to come in.
their perspectives? Yes, do carry on, Sister Portia.
Okay, Brother Kwame, is 6 languages. Kiswahili is also an official language. I don't know if you mentioned that.
I did mention
Yeah.
it, yes. All right.
Okay, all right. So it's 6 official AU languages. Thank you, King Brother Pigeon, for your point. I want to go to some names that all of us here might already know. Okay, here we go. The Kingdom of Kush, Nubia, Sudan, the Kingdom of Ndongo and Mataba, Angola, the Zaza, Zaria in Nigeria, the Ashanti Empire, Ghana, ancient Egypt, Kemet, the Kingdom of Aksum, Ethiopia, Eritrea, the Mali Empire, West Africa, the Songhai Empire, West Africa, and Great Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe. When King Brother Pigeon said, when Brother Kwame referenced that there were other kingdoms who must have come up with this, this is what I was thinking when King Brother Pigeon was talking, that our ancient Akibulon ways of working had to have already addressed this topic of multilingualism or people who were polyglots. Now we're in the 21st century. I have seen the creativity of us talk about diversity. From what I recollect, and someone can correct me if I'm incorrect, WhatsApp was started by one of us. And then later it got, ingested into the whole capitalism monopoly thing, allegedly. So we have creativity to make stuff, even if you look at the United States of America and Black people who were trafficked over here, I would dare say 90% of what is called American culture was produced by us. So languages, I see that as a solution just waiting to happen. I see us creating some form of technology so that we can be polyglots ourselves. So it's not just a matter of one language, which I push back on and say, how can we be so diverse and then we have to be one of anything and we can still be unified? So I think a way to this topic of managing diversity within unity is knowing that our diversity cannot be contained. But what we can do is we can navigate through it so that we can be unified. And one of the ways we can do that is our languages. I would dare say many of us already on the call are polyglots, but if we're not polyglots, definitely I know it has to be multilingual on this call. Leave out myself, who was born in the United States of America, and we know the context of why that is. So dealing with the language through technology that we can navigate and still be able to comprehend conversations in different languages, opposed to it being one language or a couple of languages. And then another way of adding to our diversity and enhancing our diversity is involving the young people. And I would dare say the young people who have been thrown away by society. I talked about them before. I believe that was 2 weeks ago. That just feel like because they don't do this, they don't do that, those young people are the they are the outcasts of society. So engaging in those young persons, and of course King Brother Pigeon talked about women, and then also engaging. I was talking practically. Now go back to practically, what am I doing? I was talking to a relative. I won't mention their name. I didn't get their permission. And that relative is a young person, and it's the summer here. And I was suggesting that that relative, I had wanted them to attend a session, but maybe they don't find it interesting. But I said, I'll try to search for something that's around, reading about Malcolm X or reading about Asada Olugbala Shakur, something to engage the young people so that by the time they get 50, they are not being like many of us who are trying to go back to being young to start all over again. So that's my initial thoughts on this topic of embracing diversity.
You wanted to come back, Brother Pigeon?
Yes, Brother Kwame, I want to come back on something, just briefly, if you allow.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now, Sister Portia has touched on women in another direction that I didn't see it. I don't think if she's brought it clearly. But do we know the power women have to unite the continent? Because I think if anything has to be taught to the younger generation, is the women who must tell them. Because that's why all languages you're having is called mother tongue. Why is it not a father tongue? Because that language, the first teacher to any child is the woman. The first teacher who will tell the child, you are not a Luo, you are an African, is the woman. Or that teacher who will tell this child that you are not so-called a Kikuyu, you are a Bantu. And all Bantus include all these people, including West Africa, any part, they are your brothers and sisters. They are women. And that child will grow knowing that, no, yes, my language is this, but this is who we are. Because you see, the best time sometimes to nurture and change the mind of a new generation is when they're born. The moment they start learning things, they need to be taught the right thing. Then I think then put it at the center of that unified Africa. The women are at the center of it. If the women can then be, actually, majority of women of Africa can be brought to this element of taking up the approach we are having in terms of we are Africans, or we are Blacks, or we are Bantus, and Nilots, and embrace it, they are the first contact point that can pass this to the generation. And maybe in 20 years' time, we'll have a generation that will not call themselves Luo per se, but they'll see themselves Africans or Blacks, or they'll see themselves Bantus and Nilots. And that way we can cure a problem that is now rooted. Because, for example, it's the women who told me, or my mother who told me, or who taught me the Luo mother language. The school taught me about, I was taught about Swahili in school and English in school. But my language was passed to me by my mother. But the question again is, are we ready to actually forgo our language and forget about teaching our kids our language to embrace the Bantu? Because the problem is that even the Bantu at a national level do not also have one language, brother. If actually there was a Bantu one language, then all the children could be taught that one language. If there was that Black one language, then all the children could be taught that one language. So the responsibility is not that the responsibility of grooming the next generation that can unify Africa within the diversity lies solely on women, but the women are the contact point, are the primary point on this. They're the primary point on how we can actually pass through the unification of African diversity. And that to us as revolutionary, then push the mantle for us to sit back and think again. What is our strategy for unification? Then our central strategy must not miss the women. The women must be at the center of any strategy to talk about unification, because the role they play at the first contact point to raise a new generation that we want. That's what I wanted to come back to. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Again, you've raised an important issue there about the role of women, and very important issue, the role of women. If women are if women are central to the solution, then my logic tells me that women are also central to the problem. So if you find a man who disrespects women, who was his mother? If you find a man who is a thief in office, who was his mother? If you find a woman who, if you find a man who loves to shed blood, who was his mother? So then logically we can ask, to what extent do our mothers bear responsibility for the state of humanity more broadly, and for the state of children? So that comes up. So maybe it's the fault of the women. Why don't they take more responsibility? Why don't they play a more important role in all things? Why are they happy to just be equal to men and not surpass men, etc., etc.? But then why should we blame the women? Maybe they have not been empowered. But then who empowers them? Who empowered the men? Etc. So you've raised some interesting questions. The experience that I have heard from some of our liberation fighters, leaders, in Ghana, is that the women were the problem, in the sense that they bring a bribe to the man refuses to take the bribe, and then the wife tells the man, "You are very stupid. How can you not take this money? They brought you all this money and you refuse." So they go behind the man and then they collect the money from whoever brought it. This is the experience that some have shared. So
Brother Kwame, may I come in?
You are not the only one who will come in, Sister Tapuwa has a hand up. I'm not saying that I agree or disagree, and I'm not saying that what I'm saying is correct. I'm just sharing or raising, if you like, provocative points based on.
I know.
But hold on.
Let's
yeah, thank you. Let's Sister Tapuwa come in. So mothers, please. What are you doing about African disunity? Mothers. Sister Tapuwa, please come in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I've been thinking about this topic, but I'm going to start by addressing some of the provocative statements you've just made.
Let's start with what brother Pigeon said, yeah, because that's where it starts from, the mother tongue, yeah. And
yes,
and then
yes,
and then education, our education as babies and as children.
yes.
That's where it all starts from. Thank you.
Yes. I see unity in diversity in families and family roles. Because mothers are mothers because they are fathers. And both play a part in raising a child. And managing the diverse roles in that unit results in a family that works. In other words, when we're talking about unity, we are not saying sameness. We are saying women will be women, men will be men. There is no one role that is greater than the other. Because once you do that, then you don't have a family that's standing. So the management of unity in diversity in a family setting has to acknowledge that for a family to be, for this unit of family to be, there's got to be diversity. Because if there is no diversity, there is no family. And everyone must manage whatever role they are playing in that unit. Coming to Africa and the unification of Africa, I have looked at, first of all, I've defined what unity for me is. And unity, for me, in the African context, is identifying commonalities between the different nationalities. It's identifying that which brings us together and makes us whole. It's identifying those areas that we're in agreement and that bring us into a space of harmony, and combining the disparate units, subunits within this whole. So I'm saying we are not going to achieve unity if we want to minimize diversity, because we've got to acknowledge what is it that has resulted in diversity. For example, culture. Culture is born out of the environment where people live. So, for example, you find that those people living in deserts, in very hot climates, find it very important to cover their heads with cloth and put on long robes that are well ventilated and keep them cool. So, if we're going to manage unification of the African groups, we do not and should not reduce the culture so that we have one culture. What is going to unite us is our philosophical position of Ubuntu. And language is also born out of our environment and the interactions that we have between different subgroups. And the aim is not to eliminate the various languages or to have one group of people being absorbed by another. That is going to lead to conflict. It's acknowledging that we have different languages because they reflect the window through which we see things. As long as, for example, people are basing whatever they see on a common philosophical understanding. So, for example, if I'm going to take Europe and the Caucasian world, they understand each other because of the philosophy that drives them. It doesn't matter whether you're speaking German or English or American English or Australian or whatever language you're speaking in Europe. They have a commonality. They've got a common interest to protect that which has put them in the position of superiority. They've got different cultures. They will sing songs differently. They will dress differently. They will do things differently. But that common thing has to be identified. So for me, what is going to help us manage unity in diversity in the African context is understanding the role of our adopted colonial cultures and how they've influenced our Africanness. So it's identifying our Africanness and acknowledging the challenges that are there that threaten to divide us because of our adopted colonial experiences. We also need to acknowledge that whilst we now have a variety of religions amongst us, the religion itself should be should not be driving the unification, because it is the philosophy, the Ubuntu philosophy, which covers any religion. Any of the religions focus on humaneness, and it is that which we must use to help direct, motivate, reward, nature, control. I think you can see that these words are words that I've been using for managing. In other words, when you're managing, you're not controlling or totally directing. You're reacting to and focusing on agreed objectives where we want to go. So as long as we are agreed that the unification of Africa is what we need to achieve. That means that when we're talking about unity, we are not talking about us being the same peas in a pod. We are acknowledging, for example, group dynamics, that in order for a group to work, they've got to be people, we've got to take advantage of the different strengths that different units have. And we need to remember dialectics, that for a unit to be, there's got to be both sides. And therefore, when we're talking about African unity, we want Malawans to be the best Malawans they can be. We want South Africans to be the best. And South Africans must acknowledge that whilst they're being South African, other people are observing them in terms of where we want to go as a unit. And when people say whatever is going on there is going to hinder our progress towards that unity, but we must also say, what is it that is driving these people to behave in this way? Because we cannot, as particularly as Africans, be disunited. Because the number of times we've been in Europe and around the world, our color just tells us who we are. And therefore, we have something that unites us. Our melanin unites us. It points to our history. It points to our role in humanity, in the development and progression of humanity. So, when we're talking of African managing unity in diversity, let's not think we should be one. Let's not think we should be the same. We've got to be different, but our intentions and our strengths, our different strengths, need to help us achieve where we want to go. I'll end there for now. Thank you.
Yeah, before you end, can you touch on the question? If women are central to the solution, my logic tells me that then they are central to the problem.
All right. Thank you very much for that. In the African context, in the ancient African context, women were given that position. But with the coming of the colonialists, that changed. Because if you look at the position of women in Europe, you will find that women were an underclass, they were a second class. But if you come to West Africa, for example, where you have women in armies, where you have women leading in the battlefields, where you have, in my own culture, we've got so many things that protect and put women on a pedestal. But Christianity has come in and has said that women must, I don't know, subject themselves, be obedient to men, and they shouldn't talk, and they should dress this way and that way. If you look at the way we Africans lived, for example, our dress was nearly the same. Women were in charge of the stores of food. Women were in charge of organizing. Women were in charge of education. Men would go out for weeks hunting and they would come back and still find the house standing and things having been done. So, my position is let's go back to empowering African women. I remember when I was in one of the lectures out there in the Western world, and I was in some university, and people were talking about empowering women. And they were saying women should get out of the kitchen. I said, not in Africa. Women are not going to leave the kitchen because that's the center of life, the kitchen. That's where food is distributed. In an African context, that's where the altar for prayers was, in the kitchen. So if you remove a woman from the kitchen, then you have removed her from the power base. Men would go hunting and bring things, give it to women in the kitchen. The women would make sure they distribute on need basis. and make sure that there's some for tomorrow and for next week. So my position is we've been weakened by the adopted colonial cultures. We should go back to who we are. Thank you.
Okay, well, what has stopped women from fighting from what you've just described? We have educated women. Why are they not fighting for these things? Anyway,
Are we not fighting for them? But
I am
are
sorry.
we not fighting?
No, I'm just being provocative. Yeah.
Yes.
so anyway, yes, the floor is open. We've heard from Sister Portia. We've heard from Sister Brother Pigeon twice. We've heard from Sister Tapuwa. Who else wants to come in to share their thoughts? The topic is managing diversity within unity. And Sister Portia has explained that cannot mean that we are all the same. So that tells me that diversity is our strength. And since there are about 3,000 tongues or languages on the continent, and we all learn our mother tongues, so that tells me that women are indeed or have to be central to the solution. And so men have to be dethroned. Because men have to be dethroned from leadership.
Brother Kwame, can we please come in as women just to say something, even though I've spoken? King Brother Pigeon spoke twice.
Portia, will come back to you. Don't worry. I was going to make the point that in terms of languages, as far as I know, different Africans, in terms of indigenous languages, speak at least one. So when you look across the cultures, say the Ga, the Ewe, the Akan, and so on, you'll find that there are Africans who speak more than one indigenous language. And I think that holds across the entire continent. If that is the case, it means that we already have the strength there. We already have the strength there, that there are Africans across us who can speak every language. So language shouldn't be a problem for us. And we shouldn't strive for one language only. We must strive for a diversity of languages. General, you had your hand up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Greetings to everyone. Can I just ask someone to come in, then I'll come in. I'm just fixing up something quickly.
Sorry, you're not ready now? Okay. All right. So cultural diversity is important. We should think that the different cultures on the African continent is our strength. I don't think it's our weakness. I mean, America is a multicultural country, isn't it? America is multicultural. They have different cultures there. In fact, they have all languages on this planet in America as well, as I understand it. Even England has areas where they speak over 1,000 languages at any one time. So these things exist. They are a reality. Okay, so we are continuing the discussion. The topic is managing diversity within unity. The floor is open. Please come in and share your thoughts. Thank you. General, are you ready?
Brother, could you please allow the sister who has a burning question?
Because, sister? Yeah. No sister has a burning questions.
No.
Which sister has a burning question, Brother Menzi?
PCA.
Oh no, Sister Portia wants to contribute more.
Yes.
That's what she wants to do. Let's hear from others.
Because you've provoked her.
I think so. I think.
Okay. Okay. Sister Portia. Sister Portia.
Yes, Brother Kwame. Yes, Brother Kwame.
Well, instead of speaking themselves, they say you should speak first. So go on.
Yes.
Thank you, comrades. I'm going to turn my camera on. I think the provocative questions that you raised, Professor Kwame, detract us from what is the focus of the topic. I am not at odds or I am not battle with the King brothers on this call. They are warriors. They are with me. They protect me as I protect them. So we are not in competition. So what we do for this call is address the topic. This is my first suggestion. And then my next suggestion is, you remember when I started, I read through some of the queendoms and kingdoms. And then I mentioned that they must have had this conversation before about diversity. It is the oppressors who, as always, want to make things like it's new. If we had all of those queendoms and kingdoms, they had to think about diversity. They had to think about language because we're amazing. And so I suggested that given our contributions, that we look at language not as a oneness. And I was so thankful to hear Queen Sister Tapuwa echo and share more detail, because as we know, she has been in the liberation struggle, that we don't have to make a oneness in terms of the oppressors' views of oneness, because they're not even one anyway. Though, to Queen Sister Tapua's point, yes, they do coalesce around each other. So if it was a war between Africa and Europe, you can guarantee North America and Australia allegedly are going to go run to Europe. So that being said, it's not a competition, which is an oppressor's world, and their inferior type ideology, allegedly, they always are about winning, always about competition. That's why when they went into Africa and they saw our amazingness, it was like a culture shock. They couldn't imagine that this was possible. So let us not get into their type of games of competing against us. I reiterate, the King brothers on the call, they are with me. They are my protector. I am with them. I got their back. And let's focus on the topic at hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we hear from Brother General, please? Thank you. General, are you ready?
Yes, yes,
Please.
sir.
Yeah, please proceed. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thanks.
Okay. Let me just move here because we're watching this CSG here. So let me move. Let me move. Okay. Give thanks for everyone who's spoken that I've heard. Though I came like 30 minutes late, but we give thanks still. I wanted to present today, but I have a lot of meetings because, as I said, this 30th of June is just around the corner. So a lot of administration I have to do. But let me go straight to the point due to time.
Well, what's happening on the 30th of June? Sorry.
No, we're having the march on 30 June. South Africa.
You're referring to the South African march. Okay, please.
Yes, sir. Okay. So let me just go to the main point. Okay, so from basically what I was going to present was my way solution of reuniting us as Africans. It was the mechanism. So it is more linked with the mechanism of the African Wada here, which I spoke, with Sister Mother Tapuwa there, yeah. So it's the same, it's almost the same, but not really. But what mine is basically is saying that since we Africans, by blood, by default, you see, come from kingdoms, because there's no African that does not come from a kingdom. So by default, more especially in Africa, by default, that means we are the black intellects are supposed to use the knowledge that we have of Pan-Africanism, bring it back and influence our respective kings or queens of the respective community or ethnicity we come from respectfully. And then from there, we allow the kings and the queens to actually have dialogues or come together. I don't know, but in a way that they'll have some sort of a common or communal sort of discussions. That's going to help us, first of all, to have a strong support that is basically permanent, because one thing that we know, ethnicity cannot be erased. For instance, I can't say I'm no longer a Xhosa just because I decide to be something else or I'm a Pan-African. No, my blood comes from my immediate family. So all Africans have that. So if you can just take our kings and queens, convince them to come together, and then like Tapuwa said, the religion and culture, the kings and queens represent the culture of the people. So if the people see our kings and queens coming together, talking one thing, there won't be no need for us to even use a lot of admin, because once the people see their king and the queens together, automatically the people come together. The families come together, they marry, whatever. So that will allow us, in a way, to supersede the 54 borders that we are having. Because the 54 borders that we have in Africa are governed by constitutions and laws related to what? The international law that was started, or what is enacted in that Berlin conference, that gave to powers that the African country must be divided into 54 countries. So now our failure as Africans, from what I'm seeing, is that because we are going along with the international law, it's allowing us to actually not use the powers that we have, which is what? The African customary law. Now, the customary law is a law basically that the colonizers found to be functioning in Africa. Hence, customary law is recognized. For instance, here in South Africa, customary law is recognized. You understand what I mean? So I think that is a channel that we haven't checked that maybe we can use, you see, as the backbone to further propel the main objective of Pan-Africanism, irrespective of one being in that country, one being there and there. We just use basically our bloodlines to interlink. Yes, sir.
So if we general, if we are going to link ourselves through our bloodlines, then that is echoing the question of indigenous nations and the indigenous and organic nations of the continent. And is that what you are alluding to?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. Because why I'm saying it is that what I come to discover is that we cannot change our ethnicity. For instance, if you were like, for instance, I'm a Nguni, there's no way I can change to be something else but a Nguni. So why don't I unite with the other Nguni Black Pan-African leaders? And then other Pan-African leaders from also other ethnicities, they're also doing the same. So that that brings a big collusion of leaders. Yes.
And since Ngunis are Bantus and Evers are also Bantus, so we are one then.
Yeah.
So, and I am in West Africa. You are in southern.
Exactly.
Exactly. The argument so far for me, I don't know what you think. Others can come in. What do you think? Is that we appear to be making the discussion of managing diversity in unity within the neo-colonial borders. You see, because I think for me that is the problem, that we have Pan-Africanists who are also thinking in Pan-African terms, but on the basis of the current borders. And if we are going to manage diversity in unity, what about your brothers and sisters across the border who were divided because of Berlin? Aren't they part of the nation? So if we push that to its logical conclusion, it means literally there should be no borders. And if there are no borders, then that takes us to the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is a different idea, I accept. But in terms of managing diversity within unity, shouldn't we be looking at the diversity of the indigenous and organic nations of the continent and discussing unity in those terms rather than the neocolonial territories that are dividing us? What do you think? The floor is open, please, if you want to come in, especially those who haven't spoken yet. Please come in and let's hear your thinking. Yeah, General, you want to respond to that? What I just said?
Yes, I'll just say shortly. It's true what you're saying, that we should follow the indigenous lines, because we have Xhosa people, for instance, in Zimbabwe. You understand? So now, if we as Pan-Africans who are Xhosa, you have our own branch. Let's say, okay, for argument's sake, let's say we open the Pan-African CSG organization. So within the Pan-African CSG organization, we have 54 representatives, which represent each of the 54 countries. Which within those 54 countries, we have a set of a structure there, which is one or two leaders who are leaders respective of the indigenous ethnicity that is within the respective country that that person is in. For instance, I'm in South Africa, so I'll be organizing the Xhosa people. Also, another Pan-African in Zimbabwe who is Xhosa will organize the Xhosa people there in Zimbabwe, yeah, well, so that we can come to be together from, you see, interlink, so that will make us to basically to supersede the borders. It will be like the borders are just there for fencing. It don't affect us if we move that way. Thank you.
And I suppose what I'm suggesting is that we Pan-Africanists are not doing enough on that front. You see, we are not doing enough as Pan-Africanists. Sister Tapuwa has a hand up. We haven't heard from Brother Philip. Welcome, Brother Philip, for joining us. The topic is managing diversity in unity. So welcome, Brother Philip. Welcome, Brother Coco. So some of you haven't spoken yet. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic. Sister Tapuwa, please come back. Thank you. You have your hand up.
Thank you very much. I think managing unity in diversity implies that we've got to have the tools to manage the unity. And for me, the Berlin borders are the last thing we need to manage unity in Africa. Because look at the different positions that the colonialists have. It pains me, for example, the most stark example for me is it Cameroon? That is English-speaking Cameroon and French-speaking Cameroon, and the animosity that is between the two. That, for example, English-speaking countries think Portuguese-speaking countries are inferior. That English-speaking countries are better than the Swahili-speaking country of Tanzania because we speak English. We need to move away from looking at the Berlin countries as units that we can, as a tool that we can use to unite. We need to get back to our indigenous African nations, because in it we also have a healing process. Because a lot of the nations that were very focused on fighting the colonialists were suppressed and they are not acknowledged. Once we get that, I see even the the Southern African problem getting solved, where we have a situation in Zimbabwe where election time, I live in a border town with Mozambique. We have citizens who are registered both in Mozambique and Zimbabwe. Election time, Mozambique, they go and vote in Mozambique. Election time in Zimbabwe, they come and vote in Zimbabwe. And then there's these news headlines that are saying there's cheating, there's forging, there's all that. That's from a colonialist point of view. Let's just get rid of the borders, forget about them. As Pan-Africanists, let's not even mention them because they are the reason why we're divided as a people. We've taken over the mental and the conflict of our erstwhile managers. We should stop it. I'll end there for now. Thank you.
Kwame, are you there? Okay, let's go to Brother Coco. Would you like to come in? Then Sister Ida. Brother Coco, are you around? Let me check.
Revolutionary greetings,
Yeah,
comrades,
greetings.
brothers, sisters, kings, and queens. I'm humbled to be amongst you tonight. This is an easy, or you can call it simple topic, but at the same time, very complex, given the continent which we belong to. I think the biggest philosophical difference that Dr. Nkrumah had with the Nigerian leaders was the fact that they thought Dr. Nkrumah was not being realistic when he thought they could unite Africa, which was made up of thousands of languages, thousands of different clans or nations. And when they were already struggling with that within Nigeria, which of course is a colonial construct. So as a result, they didn't really give him the support that he had wanted, despite the fact that they were both from the Anglo side of the Anglophone part of colonial heritage. They went to Monrovia and sided with the Liberians as a result of that, because to them it looked intimidating, it looked unachievable, even impossible. And this is what the colonizer had told the Africans, that the Africans, there's no way Africans can unite. And again, you see in the way that the Union of Africa is being managed from across the sea, across the Mediterranean Sea, from the colonizer's perspective, because they are trying to follow what the European Union had to do. Meaning that they didn't think they could come up with their own things, with unity, their own way. And I would like to remind all of you here what had happened. We were developing in our own way before interruption by the colonizers from both the West and from the East. So I'm not leaving those from the East as well. What I'm trying to say here is that Africa was on its way to unite in its own way. But because all of a sudden we had lots of foreign languages, foreign cultures, foreign legal frameworks, foreign governance systems, all of them imposed upon us, we got confused. It wasn't now just that my brother, Comrade Pigeon, is Luo, and my other brother is Kikuyu, or my other brother is Muganda. Now, it's that complexity of the colonial heritage which is included, which we have to take into account. But all of this is not something which should astound us. It should not stop us from thinking and saying this is achievable, because it has to happen. Now, the reason why I'm saying it has to happen, let me read a passage from Professor Hakim Adi, who was explaining what Pan-Africanism is. The reason I'm reading this is because Pan-Africanism has been under attack from several quarters, with some people asking, why are you saying we should unite? Were we ever united in the past? We were never united before. We were never a single kingdom. Yes, we were not. We were never a single kingdom. We were never united in that sense. But what he says here, he also references what the AU had said before. I quote, Pan-Africanism is an ideology and movement that encouraged the solidarity of Africans worldwide. It is based on the belief that unity is vital to economic, social, and political progress, and aims to unify and uplift people of African descent. The ideology asserts that the faiths of all African peoples and countries are intertwined. At its core, Pan-Africanism is a belief that African peoples, both on the continent and in the diaspora, share not merely a common history, but a common destiny. I end the quotation there. I think this is trying to answer the question to whoever asking, why unite? We have to unite because we have seen what happens if we don't unite. And we can see also what is going to happen if we continue not to unite. So if that doesn't happen, we continue to be Christianized, do things the Christian way, and at the expense of the African humanist principles, African humanist ways of doing things, or if we continue to be Islamized, Arabized, forgetting that at the core we are Africans, or in the present now where we are living, we're becoming Sinicized. Is now we are having another colonizer coming from Far East, coming to tell us what to do or to dictate how we do things. And if we don't come together and above all the differences that we have and unite, then we continue being the provinces of the bigger empires that continue to build at our expense. So that is the simple reason. Look at Europe. Europe, regardless of where they were coming from, they still united. Those same people who say Africans cannot unite, when they had them united. There is a union of African European people, the EU. It didn't form to become a full political union, but still they united to an extent that you can move from one European country to the other in a single Schengen area. It has happened. But somehow someone is thinking Africans cannot unite because they are so different linguistically, culturally, philosophically, ideologically, everything else. It's a matter of realizing what it is that binds us together. Our suffering binds us together. That colonial heritage, there are different colonizers who came to us, but we have all suffered. Our parents, our forefathers have suffered if we think we haven't. But that suffering has been transmitted to us. It has been transferred to us in a way, intergenerational trauma. It continues through us. So it's a matter of we need to break that and come together as people and heal. So I know some brothers here said we need to go the union of nations way. And I endorse that idea because this is where it's coming from. It's coming from this CSG. That is the idea. We need to retrace where we were before and break the colonial, the Berlin Conference borders which currently exist. Majority of us are fighting to protect those borders. Because of what? Because of individualism, of wanting to stay where the Europeans have left us. The Europeans brought in individualism in us, and the Europeans brought patriarchy. Patriarchy is the biggest enemy that we have as Africans, and we have to defeat that. So again, to answer your question, Brother Kwame, why are our ladies not in the forefront? Patriarchy is the biggest enemy that we face, both our ladies and ourselves as the kings in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. The accounts who are 45% of Ghana's ethnicity, almost half are matriarchal, and yet we don't get women from that matriarchal system. It's not patriarchal, it's matriarchal, and yet we don't have men coming forward to women coming forward to lead. We've had some in the past, like Yas Antiwa. There was also an Ashanti king. She was called king, but because of the word, there's no queen, but king. So we've had them in the past. We've had leaders. We've had African women who have led wars and so on. What's stopping our current women from just, I'm not saying it's a competition. Nobody should misquote me, yeah? But we need our women, where it's not patriarchal, to come forward and help unite the continent. I think, was it General that has that up? We still haven't heard from Sister Ida and from Brother Welcome. Yeah, I wanted to come back.
Pigeon said I should go next, so
okay. Well, Brother Pigeon tell you to go next. I'm the one chairing, but anyway, please.
Well, you seem to have dropped off. Sorry.
Proceed. It's okay. Proceed. Thanks. Side up, proceed. Thanks.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, I think I'm going to come at it from a different angle, in that what do I see? Where do I see unity? And to be honest, I hear what you're all saying about languages and men and this and that, but where I see unity is in food. In that, I think that food is what unites a lot of people, whether it's starting at families and then bigger things. And it's not just women as the cooks, men are cooks as well. And to me, that's where I see unity and diversity as something big. Because not everybody, I love the bit about polyglots and all these different ideas. But to me, if I'm looking at how do I see people uniting, I can only bring Britain into it because I've actually seen this happen, where people have come from all over the world, and when everybody was just sort of being rude to wherever they came from, yeah, they went under the radar and were united with the food that people from all these different countries were cooking. Because I've seen that in when people are very anti big groups and stuff like that, but then it's the food that will in the end unite them. And I think that even in Africa, whether it's births, marriages, deaths, what do we see with all of them? Food. So to me, I think food is a big thing. And also the other thing is people learn names. Or you've been talking about languages. People learn names of food through food or teas and stuff like that. And I mean, why should we have to get teas from Europe when they're coming from all over the world? But we know sometimes we get to know the names of like a Sam T or whatever, or I'm sorry, Brother Pigeon, I don't know particular names for Kenyan teas, but I know that it's a big thing over there. Not only just because you've told us about your tea experience, but even before that, I knew that Kenyan teas were around. And I think all over the place, you could go all over the place and you can get to know names of different countries, different parts of the world through food. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Well, so Sister Portia says food could be or is the mechanism that will unite us. Brother Pigeon
Mommy, why do you
raise a question of language.
I'm
Sorry?
Sister Ida, not
Sister
Sister
Ida.
Portia.
I don't know why. Yeah, Sister Ida. Sorry. So Sister Ida raised why do I keep saying Sister Portia when I'm Sister Ida? Yeah, so Sister Ida has brought to our attention the importance of food. I think there was a session we had a few months ago, didn't we, on food? And we looked at food across the continent, you remember? So Sister Ida is saying that food could be, or perhaps is the solution to our unification. Maybe have a continental food competition, I don't know. When I Should Speed was in Ghana, there was a competition between Nigerians and Ghanaians over jollof rice, and we had the Nigerians won. So anyway, so food could be the solution, maybe is a solution. Language, Brother Pigeon says language, mother tongue. Sister Ida is reminding us food as well. Right, we haven't heard from Brother Philip. Brother, welcome. Yeah, the topic is managing diversity within unity. That's the topic. Managing diversity within unity.
Hi.
Yes, Philip, proceed. Thanks.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts. Great suggestions on how to unite the continent from everyone. I'm not a football fan, but I have never seen any, particular element that unites a nation like football does. Hypothetically, if we had one or promoted one African team, I have a feeling that would unite us also very much. The other point is that I read in one of Nkrumah's books, I can't remember the title now, where he outlined a clear plan for Africa. And he was speaking about outputs from one portion of Africa going to being inputs for another part of Africa. And in this discussion this evening, I heard unification along tribal lines, which has its merits. But it then brought my mind to what I read about unification along economic lines. In other words, that we have, one Africa,
Brother Philip, you're breaking.
Divided into economic districts or for management, better management. We are a small group. King. Am I breaking?
You sound better now. But you were breaking at one point.
Okay.
Yeah, carry on.
Okay. My first point was about football as unification. The second point, using Nkrumah's plan or modifying it, where inputs from one part of Africa where outputs from one part of Africa become inputs for another. And the third thought that occurred to me was that we are a small group. CSG is just a small group, but kind of catalyzed towards this unification. I prefer talk to no talk, but the thought from time to time comes as to any more practical, little practical ways that I don't know, maybe one of the sisters or brothers could run for president or something. Any practical way to actualize the unification that we are speaking about.
You are aware, brother Pigeon is going to run for president? You are aware?
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So he needs your support. So please, if you can contact him after the meeting, see how you can support him to run. That would be great.
Yeah.
We are also linked with ACUP. But I think we also have to accept that running an education institution is itself a practical thing. If I'm making sense.
Yes. Certainly.
CSD is like an educational institution, so we do philosophy and ideology. We also host these unification sessions, and the reason is to educate. So even though we are a small group, this is what we are doing towards unification. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. So running an educational institution, I mean, when Brother Pigeon sends our invite around, I mean, he can deny or confirm it. Some people have asked him, so are we still going strong? Are you guys still around? Because people see these links and then people disappear. They come and disappear. We've been online. We were offline before on the ground, and then we went online. And since we've been online, we've always been here. We haven't gone anywhere. And that in itself is a practical achievement, you see. So, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you. But thanks for your point. So I'm not a football person. So let me ask you, are you saying that there is no African football team, one team for Africa as a whole?
Well, neither am I. I'm not a football person. I heard somewhere that there was, but I haven't come across anyone. I mean, most of the matches we hear the individual countries being represented, and I am suggesting hypothetically, or somewhere in the future, that we, in addition to Nkrumah's one name, one army, one ideology, one president, and so on, so there should be one football team representing the whole of Africa. And that is really going to unite Africa. I mean, it's just going to unite us.
Brother Koko has his hand up. Maybe he has something to say on football. Because I am zero football person. Zero.
Now, to answer your question, there is no such team, because the World Cup, for instance, is organized by FIFA, and FIFA is an institution on its own. So all of these countries who are there playing football, they are all members of FIFA. FIFA is much stronger than even the United Nations, I think. So there is no way that we can have that without affiliation to FIFA somehow. So CAF cannot bring its own team there, and then CONCACAF, which is in America, and then CONMEBOL, which is South America, do their own team. So I think that is how, if you're talking about that level, brother Philip. But what is happening, what I saw happen myself, was when Ghana got to the quarterfinals in 2010, it was the last African team, and lots of African people were watching it, regardless of where they were. So when Ghana crashed out, there were lots of people who were feeling really sad that Ghana had crashed out. In the same way with Morocco, even though Morocco, some Moroccan players say they were Arab, most Africans were following Morocco. So Africans are following their teams as Africans. It was just South Africa which faced really difficult challenges earlier on because of incidences that we know what were happening in South Africa when they played against Mexico. But I think they have gone over that now. And Cabo Verde is another one, which is attracting lots of support worldwide, but as well as in Africa. Thank you.
So Brother Coco, there is a case now for one African team then. No?
Can I come in? Absolutely. Because
are you also a football person?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
I was
wow.
brought
Okay.
up as one.
Go on.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, but Brother Coco has dropped. Oh, he's still here. Yeah, go on.
Okay. The challenge that the world has in terms of African talent is, I think there will be some strike against having any African team, whether it be athletics or any sports which they're not able to rig. Because if you look at the football teams, most of them that are European are full of Africans, to such an extent that even the Arab world is now giving citizenship to anyone from Africa to represent them. I mean, I remember having a confusion here with a 10-year-old boy who lives with me, and he was saying France is in Africa. And we were asking him, why are you saying France is in Africa? He says, well, all the players in there are black. So how can it be European? So it's that situation that might make this not feasible because they won't have any team members to play football on behalf of Europe. Absolutely. Not even athletics.
Anyway,
Nothing.
thank you. Thank you so much. Brothers and sisters, the topic is managing diversity within unity. We've come to the end of the session. Thank you all. Brother Pigeon, announcements, and then we can bring the meeting to a close. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. It's good that we are now including football to the part of the recommendations, and I think we need to see how we strengthen these recommendations further, because we had Brother Satish, if you remember, Brother Kwame, who had done a lot of this football research, football things. Maybe probably we'll try to bring one day, we might have him one day to see how football can unify Africa in terms of that. I was a footballer myself. I became a football captain in university level. I became a trainer and a football coach for high schools. And I was a captain when I was still very young for old football team. So, but I stopped playing football. I stopped watching football. Now, again, I think Brother Philip has also mentioned something, Brother Kwame, that we need also to pick up in terms of the political element. Just for the information that, of course, the Accountability and Transparency Party that I'm trying to work on how we can register it fully in Kenya, actually might be, I don't know if I'm right, but might be the only existing current political party that actually embodies the philosophy of consciencism. You can confirm, but the philosophy and ideology of Accountability and Transparency Party that we are working in Kenya is a build-up of this class. So it is consciencism, that is its philosophy and ideology. And it's something we work together with Brother Kwame and the rest. But we are at a pace where we need to fully have it as a political party, few challenges ahead. Then we can now start teaching new leaders consciencism so that unite them with ideology and philosophy to execute what you need in the African level. And I think that's most important. So political parties, how we unite them with one philosophy is very important, irrespective of the name they have. Yes, I was aspiring for presidency 2022. I'm still looking forward to do that in 2027 if also accountability goes through. Now, Brother Kwame, there's something I was also thinking, naming, before I come to an end, naming can also be a very important way to unite Africa. Because I think when you share same names irrespective of the border, you think like your brothers, you see? So if you come to Kenya, you realize there's a Kenyan called Kwame, and you're there called Kwame, and you're like, oh, you also Kwame? I think we can work to, so naming should also not be forgotten in the list of how we can unify Africa. And I think that will also help us. So thank you very much, comrades. Brother Kwame has actually been taking notes on what you have been recommending. Apologies that the invite for this class did not come in advance because of the challenges I've been facing. But we believe that everything else will be in order. I'll post these recordings because now the laptop is up again. I'll post the recordings for last week and this week, probably on Monday in the morning. So I'll combine the 2 weeks recording. Then again, next Thursday, we continue. We are doing a review of the discussion we had on the philosophers. You see, when we're talking about Plato, Socrates, and Newton. So we are going to redo that reading. It was a long reading, so let's prepare for that next Thursday. The same text I sent out, please now have enough time to look at it. Don't wait for another notification. I'll send a reminder, but please engage that text deeply so that you can share it and revise it this Thursday. On Monday, also we continue the Pan-African Reading Club. So those who have time on Monday, it's always to 6 p.m. GMT. Please join us on Monday. On Tuesday, Sister Portia, I think there will be a meeting on Tuesday. Is it going on, Sister Portia, for the application?
Yes, I'm going to ask to share the application so people can see it before I finally press send.
Okay, so Tuesday, Sister Portia will be still having the ECOSOC AU meeting. I think she's at an advanced stage. We went through everything else last week, so she's just completing the application. So she may be want to invite members to preview that all application details that she's put in before she does the application and submit it. So that's going on Tuesday. Then Brother Coco, I don't know if was your meeting successful, because I was offline, and apology, Brother Coco. The phone and the laptop went down. I don't know if Brother Kwame helped you. If no, probably maybe that meeting will come next Friday. There was a meeting that was to be hosted by us. There's a space we gave on New Pan-African Agenda on Friday, so there's a meeting that should be there.
Oh, it did come on, Brother Pigeon. It did come on, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. So then, what else do I like to say? We are still doing a fundraising for devices, Brother Kwame, just to remind members. Actually, I've been off because the laptop went down, the phone went crashed completely. So we are still having a deficit on devices, on actually the laptop for us to run the secretariat work here for CSG. We had managed to finish the Zoom, so we had some balance in, and there's a deficit of 107 pounds. So if you can help us with that, probably we will be very grateful. I'll send again the reminder with the notice, the same notice we use for donation, so that we can be able to have this running without any delay. Now, having said that, what else do I have to say? I don't think there's anything.
On the donation thing, I spoke to a sister. I won't mention her name because of the recording. And the sister said that she had heard nothing about the fundraising, and that she receives a lot of text WhatsApp messages, so she completely missed it. So she's asked for the bank account so she can donate into it. So I'm thinking that others
do that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that others also may have missed it. So maybe we do a quick WhatsApp call to one or two people, especially those we know normally give anyway, so that they may have missed it in the WhatsApp messages, because I'm sure, like you, the people receive sometimes hundreds of messages, don't know which is which, and you can't read them all sometimes.
Okay, I'll do that. I think the broadcast list had an issue, but the broadcast list will be back on fast, but we'll do in between the fast, so that, because the broadcast list always goes direct inbox, but we'll do the same thing Brother Kwame is saying as well. And in fact, for records, sisters donated 80% of the entire donation work that you're doing. So they were almost out of, I don't know, six donors, sisters were almost 4 or 5. So sisters actually push this moving forward. In fact, this Zoom for this session, the sisters came very handy in it. And thank you very much for the sisters who made it. Some are very silent names that don't appear, but they actually appear to support us to move forward. So thank you very much for that record as well. So I think sisters are the central place here, and we need it to be still central in this unification agenda, so that we can actually achieve it. Maybe you have been in the silent, that's why we have not achieved unification. Let me go that far. Thank you very much, comrades, for your time, your attention, and your resources you put in. We really appreciate this, and these will be records. One day you'll tell your grandson or your son that was me discussing the unification of Africa. That was me sharing my thinking on the philosophy, and that's why we thought it's wise to have some record somewhere. So thank you very much. Back to you, Brother Kwame.
Yeah, no, even this unification sessions, it was inspired by a woman. So maybe we need more women in the forefront. Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's it, brothers and sisters. I'm going to stop the recording. And yeah,